Good morning. I'm Rick Ufford Chase, and this is Newport Connects, behind the scenes with Newport Downtown Development. And this morning I'm joined by two friends and colleagues, George St. Ange and Steve Dalpy from the North Country Mountaineers Snowmobile Club. I got that all right, yes?
Yes.
All right. So we're here this morning to share a little bit about this exciting project that all three of us have been a part of now for about a year and a half. And I'll give a little bit of background, and then I'm going to ask Steve and George to talk about their project with the Snowmobile Club in particular. So about a year and a half ago, I think it was in October of 2023, we got word that there were special grant opportunities available through a program called VOREC, the Vermont Outdoor Recreation Economy Collaborative. And they were particularly interested in grant projects or proposals that would encourage and show strong community collaboration. And that was kind of music to my ears. I was very excited about that. And so I reached out to, I think at first, 5 or 6 different organizations I had pretty good relationships with, and said, would you all be interested in trying to do something together to strengthen the northern part of the NEK's outdoor recreation economy? And they not only said yes, they started naming other folks who should be involved. And one of the folks that got brought to the table in that process, one of the groups, was the North Country Mountaineers Snowmobile Club. So together, we met, I think it was every week for about 8 weeks. Yep. Every Tuesday afternoon, we would all get on a Zoom call together. Usually there were 20, 25 people on this Zoom call.
Correct.
And together we crafted a proposal that ended up being a $450,000 proposal for money from the state. And we worked like crazy to get that thing finished up. And we turned it in on time in mid-December 2023. And by February, they turned it around really quickly. And we had been told that we were preliminarily approved for about half what we asked for, which was no small deal, actually. There were a lot of people turned away entirely. So the fact that they gave Newport this particular opportunity was very significant. We ended up with an award of $200,000. And then I worked with the 10 organizations in addition to Newport Downtown Development to say, okay, we've got half what we wanted. We got to be Vermonters and figure out how to make do with less. And I'll report that this experience in collaboration is one of the best that I've ever had. There was not one person in that group who said, I need everything I asked for. Everybody said, okay, here's what we can do to try and get by with less. And it was a very smooth process. It took us about a month of back and forth by email, and I think one Zoom meeting at that point. We all agreed on where we would end up. And some folks actually took less than their kind of fair share based on the original proposal in order to make sure that other projects got funded enough to make sure that they would get completed. It was really quite remarkable. And I think I can name all 10 of the organizations. So I'll do that just to give folks a sense of who was at the table. Besides Newport Downtown Development, which kind of provided the coordination overall, we had the North Country Mountaineers Snowmobile Club. We had Memphremagog Community Maritime, which runs the Northern Star, and the Memphremagog Science and Education Center that's now started at the Gateway Center. We had Bluffside Farm and the Vermont Land Trust, the Newport Community Sailing Center, the Northern Forest Center, which is doing work with these kind of circular trails, circuits of gravel biking trails that circumnavigate Lake Memphremagog, the NEK Guides, which do access to our rivers and the lower end of Lake Memphremagog by kayak and canoe, Kingdom Games with its swimming on the lake, Memphremagog Watershed Association, which is an organization dedicated to really protecting the lake and working not just at the lake itself, but upstream in all of those areas where we're getting runoff through the streams and coming down into the lake. It was really quite a remarkable experience, and I think we ended up feeling like we were friends with one another. It was kind of fun by the end of it. So we're having conversations about where we go from here, what else we might be able to do. But I wanted to, before we lose the snow and the winter, I wanted to have the Mountaineers come in particular, the North Country Mountaineers, and talk about what they did with their portion of this grant.
Hey, we got together, we got a bunch of quotes from people that could build the railing down the center of that railroad bridge in Newport.
So can you describe where that is for folks who may not be super familiar?
So the Market 32 store, it's a railroad square right there. Right there, there's a railroad bridge, and it also has pedestrian traffic to the, well, I would say the south side of that lake.
Now we're talking about going from what is now the Village Market, was Vista.
Village Market, correct.
Right? To basically crossing over into Pomerleau Park at the lower end of Main Street.
Pomerleau Park, correct.
Okay. Yep.
So we wanted to split that bridge to keep pedestrians and snow machines separate. So we got some quotes from a bunch of different companies, and we landed on one. And railing was designed to split that bridge to keep everybody separated. Beautiful railing was built, and we put some benches also on the pedestrian side so they could stop and take a break if they wanted to. And it is up there, it is completed, it looks great, and it's doing its job, and I think it's a great thing to get people to be able to snowmobile down to Pomerleau Park so they can access everything that Newport has to offer.
On the lower end of Main Street, right?
Correct.
They can park right in Pomerleau Park.
Correct. That's
and
where,
walk a block down the street.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Hello everybody, this is Steve of the North Country Mountaineers. I wanted to let you know that the trail right down to Main Street, Newport, is groomed and ready for you guys to enjoy it. Right to Pomerleau Park. Nice and smooth trail, looks great.
So you also had to do some decking, right? To protect the bridge itself, the
Correct.
under limit on the bridge?
So we didn't want to, I guess it's an exotic wood down on for that decking that's currently there. So we purchased a material that has a 25-year warranty on and placed it on top of that decking. So I just took a team of people just to go down and start screwing some boards down and keeping them, pushed apart just the right amount and just to protect what is there.
That was a volunteer effort
Correct.
From the club?
Everything was volunteer, except for the railing building.
Right. So how many people do you think were involved in trying to get this thing to come together?
Oh boy, so we had probably about 12 people to get that to
No
happen.
kidding. And as I've walked it now a few times this winter, and I love the benches, and the idea, now it's pretty clear that because of the separation you all have created, there's also a safe way for bikes to access that bridge on the same
Right.
side that the snowmobiles would, right?
Correct.
In the summertime, the bikes can use it, allowing pedestrians and people who are fishing off the bridge to have kind of safe access and not worry about, vehicles that are speeding by them, which I think will be great.
Yeah, it's exactly correct.
I must add, too, that the quotes that we got for this project, some were a little bit strong.
Yep.
But we reached out, and there was a young fellow that graduated from North Country High School here in welding and did very well in his program. And he went on his own now, fabricating jobs on farms and all that. And we reached out to him, and he came forward with a decent price and a willingness to put it together. And I tell you what, he did a very nice
Oh,
job.
amazing job.
So does he have a company name, or what's his name? Let's plug it. It sounds like he's doing great work.
A long time welding.
Long time welding.
Correct.
All right.
You're doing a great.
I didn't realize that part of the story. That's really cool because I don't know if you guys know, but Newport Downtown Development got into a project with North Country Career Center about a year and a half ago, where we purchased the house on the bottom of East Main Street.
Oh, yes.
That's on the corner there with Union, and we did it in partnership so that the building trades students at the high school can come and they're going to end up doing, I suspect, in the neighborhood of 75, 80% of the work on that building, which is why, just for the public knows, we've talked about this before, it's a slow project, right? Like
Right.
That building's sitting there, all the siding's off, it's been gutted inside. We just got the permit allowing us to reconfigure the property around wetlands so that we can add another building there. So we hope to have high school students building on that property for the next 5 to 8 years.
Nice.
And that kind of hands-on stuff is what keeps these young people in our community and invested. And their ability to drive by something like that railing or the house or whatever it is they're working on and say, I had a piece in that. It's pretty cool
Absolutely.
stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. And then we had another fellow that came, I don't know, how did he come in the picture to put the coating on that?
Oh, you had it like powder coated? Is that how it worked?
That was one of the Bartley boys, and he does powder coating. So we had that railing professionally powder coated, so the coating on it will last for years to come, and there won't be much maintenance to it.
And you do that like in his shop somewhere, like it was all fabricated and then he powder coated it, and then
Correct.
it came down and it got welded together on site.
On
Yeah,
site,
sections. Yeah, so sections were brought into this building, and they got powder coated. And when it was done, he brought the sections in and put them up one section at a time until we did the whole length.
Okay, so you got it done. I think it was like mid-January, right, when it was kind of ready to go.
Yeah, I think it was.
So you
yeah.
didn't miss a lot of the season because we've had such a great winter.
We've been lucky. Yes.
Yeah, no kidding. So are you getting any feedback from snowmobilers about the access to it at this point?
I have heard that people are enjoying it. The club also, on our side, we did our own fundraising. We were able to purchase a side-by-side to groom that trail.
So you're grooming it what, from the high school down past East Side Restaurant and out along the trail?
Correct. So we actually park it at the City of Newport garage.
Yep.
And so we start there and we go down by the high school, down through Prouty Beach, down Broadview to Landing.
Yep.
And also Dina,
Such a good choice.
that owns the east side, allows us to go on her property. And so we're able to stay out of the road pretty much all the way down to the east side entrance. And then we groom down beside the entrance of the east side, right over behind Waterfront Plaza where the movie theater is.
Yep.
And then we stay pretty much on the walking path, bike path, right over to
So
the bridge,
cool.
and we literally groom across the bridge to Pomelo Park. So it's been
So it's
used.
narrow enough so you can go, even with the divider down the middle,
Yes.
it's still wide enough to handle the groomer.
It was purchased specifically for that.
That's great.
So-
well, and I should say, like, that's the place where you all really gave a lot, because the initial proposal called for purchasing that groomer too,
Correct.
right? And basically what the North Country Mountaineers Snowmobile Club did was say, okay, if you can get us the money to build most of the divider and the decking, we'll try and take care of the grooming part ourselves. So,
Correct.
And every one of our organizations did the same thing. They all said, we'll reach out to our own members and we'll figure out how to make this happen no matter what.
Right.
Pretty cool.
Worked out really well, and I think the project came out well, and I think people are really using it. So it's a win-win.
It sure is. Well, I'm glad it started this winter and not last winter, because
too.
last winter, snowmobiles don't go great in the mud.
No, that'd be terrible.
I was telling stories to George and his wife Gloria as we got to know each other better and better about growing up, visiting my family, my grandparents and my aunts and uncles in Lowell. And, we had a lot of land, and they all had, those old Scarroll snow machines in the late 60s and the 70s. And they would go out. My grandparents, who were probably at that point in their 40s, would, they'd all get bundled up at 11 o'clock at night, and they'd go out for 2-3 hours snowmobiling. And George and Gloria began to share similar stories. And it does my heart good to see the way that folks are out and playing and enjoying the winter this year.
Me too. It's been needed for a while, because for the last few years it has been horrible.
Pretty
and
rough.
people are out enjoying it. It's amazing, the traffic out on the trails right now, to see it. There's just thousands of them out there every day.
That's really cool, which makes a difference in our economy, right? I mean,
I guess.
those folks are not just
Absolutely.
from here. We're not just talking about locals. They come from all over,
Oh,
right?
gosh,
Right,
yeah.
the restaurants are full. You look at the motel up in Derby, it's full. There's trailers with snowmobiles. It's so nice to see that.
So are your members from all over, or are they mostly local for the club itself?
I think a lot are local, but we do draw some from out-of-staters, from Connecticut, Massachusetts. They come from all over, and yeah, it's great to have them all part. We even have some come into our meetings, so it's great. We'll take any participation we can get and any help we can get to maintain these trails.
So how do people get in touch with you if they want to be more involved?
They usually email us through our website,
Yep.
the North Country Mountaineers, and we have somebody that will answer them, invite them to a meeting. We've had some showing up to the meetings, which is great, participate, and when we have a work project, we send out an email saying, hey, we got on this date, we're going to be doing so-and-so. If you can make it, please come and help. We'll take all the help we can get.
Love it.
Me too.
Anything else y'all want to add?
No, I think if you, let's say you live in Massachusetts and you want to come up and snowmobile up here, you have to get a TMA and register in the state of Vermont.
What's a TMA?
The sticker that goes on your sled.
Okay, that's
Trail
the,
maintenance.
That's the trail maintenance sticker. Okay.
And I believe online you can choose what club you want to belong to.
That is correct.
Oh.
Okay.
So whether it's choosing the Mountaineers, the Country Riders, or the Drift Dusters, you have the choice of
Nice.
which club you want to choose.
we're not. There's, boy, I'm speaking out of line, but I think it'd be like, I think there's 200 some plus clubs in the state of Vermont, snowmobile clubs.
Yep.
And we're not a big one, and there's some larger than us. There's some that have probably 1,300 members, whereas we're sitting on our club, we got 230 maybe this year.
Correct.
Oh, which still isn't nothing. I mean, that's a fair number of people.
Right.
So yeah, projects, volunteerism is what keeps the club going, I tell you, and it takes a lot.
Yeah.
To get anything done, really. And I don't care what club you are, we've got a lot of movement and people purchasing property around. So every year you have to go get permission form signed by landowners, and you're going to hit roadblocks every year.
Right.
Correct.
So that's just part of the work.
That's a challenge.
Also, all volunteer, right? You all are reaching out to landowners and trying to maintain those relationships.
That is correct. It's all volunteer.
Yeah.
So if there are several clubs, do you have overlapping trail systems? And do different clubs reach out to the landowners each to ask for permission themselves?
That is correct. So each club has a portion of trail mileage. We have 49 miles of trail that we maintain and take care of. And every landowner on that trail, we are responsible for getting that permission to run on their property. Correct. So each club does the same thing every year.
Sounds like a heck of an effort.
It's a lot, for volunteerism people. I mean, you have to stay on it if you're going to have this trail system working.
Right.
So I believe that all the volunteers out there are very dedicated to what they do, and it's a tremendous amount of work that a lot of people don't understand.
Don't even realize what's going on.
Correct. Behind the scenes, you just have no idea what it takes to keep it all together, and it is a lot.
And it gets old sometimes.
Bet it does. Who drives the groomer?
So I run the groomer. We have 6 other folks that, go out and put their time in. If you're in there, you're in there for 6 to 10 hours at a time, and
Right.
all of us pretty much work full-time jobs. So even that, takes an effort to get it all done every day and make sure the groomer, a lot of communication to make sure the groomer's maintained and taken care of all the time, and it's ready to go for the next run.
And do you have volunteers who try to maintain the groomer as well? Like mostly you can do your own maintenance work on it?
We do most of it ourselves, and when it gets complicated, you have to call the company, and they'll send somebody up to help us. But for the most part, it's all volunteers.
Because you're up to, a machine that's now at $280,000 to $300,000 to purchase.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Very expensive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little shocking, isn't it?
It is, and then you got to buy the drag for another $35,000 to $40,000 that smooths out the trail behind you.
My cousins always said to me when I was, I'd visit from outside the area as a flatlander, and they'd say, if you want to play, you got to pay.
Correct. Yep, snowmobiling's not a cheap sport, but it's a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed it for so many years, and I'll continue till I can't do it anymore.
George, are you and Gloria still riding?
No, she doesn't ride, and I should be riding, but I'm kind of tied up doing other things.
Right. Well, I really appreciate the two of you taking time to come in today, and I'm grateful for all the folks who watch this, and I hope you've been educated as I have been this morning about what it really takes behind the scenes. And I just want to say again how grateful I am to you and to all of the other Vorek partners, because I think we really are modeling a kind of community spirit, all of us together,
Absolutely.
that we're going to depend on in this community. We always have depended on it, and we're going to keep depending on it going forward. Yeah, there are a lot of great people doing amazing things to make this community work. So thank you to the two of you and everyone else.
Could I suggest that if somebody could come up with an idea, like tomorrow they're going to vote in St. Albans there for, they got some roads that ATV are allowed to go
Yes.
on. Now they want to go all roads. So if somebody in the Newport area could come up with some idea where we could utilize this project to generate a return of, let's say you had a poker run. You know what
Yes.
a poker run is?
Yes.
If we had one establishment in Newport on one weekend that would have to be part of this, and to see how that would function. Would it function? Would it not? But try it.
It sounds worthwhile to me. I mean, that sounds like a great next conversation between Newport Downtown Development.
Just something like that would it, just see what it could do.
All right.
Be interesting.
There we go. I mean, part of what I'm most appreciating about the way that VOREC has handled this with us is that it's created relationships where we're having conversations that just weren't taking place before. So
That's
I
right.
look forward to that conversation. George and Gloria and my wife Kitty and I are going to have dinner together maybe Sunday night. We can talk about that as well.
Right.
So
Nice.
So finally, last thing I'll say is one last piece of that VOREC grant was the creation of a new website that would really highlight outdoor recreation and all of our organizations. And so we've reworked the Newport Downtown Development website, which is at discovernewportvt.com. That's discovernewportvt.com. And there's now a really cool page where you can highlight the things that you're most interested in, and then the website will filter and pop the organizations that can help you do what you're interested in so that they come to the top. So check it out. There's that and a lot more on that new website, which just went live a couple of weeks ago. And thanks to NEK-TV, as always, for their help with this show. Thanks very much.